out the meat. So it's this thing, and it's got all these stacks, and you go out and you buy yourself like a top round London broil, and you cut it into fairly thin slices, about that thick each. I'm not eating it. And then you put it in there, and it just dries it all out, and you make your own jerky. It's very easy to do.
But then, isn't jerky for people too?
Yeah. Oh, human could eat it too. I don't. The only beef I eat, I'll eat chopped meat, and I'll eat filet mignon. I love beef, but the problem is that it doesn't always react well with me. So, okay. Now, it doesn't make me go, no, it doesn't do that. It just binds me up, so I don't want any part of it. Except filet mignon. Filet mignon is very good, and I have no issues. Okay, let's talk about, yes?
Can I have one of those pink thingamajigers in there for a second?
Oh, the pink highlighter?
Catch. Oh my god.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
if you take a look at today's lesson, it's called Refining Understanding. So we're not going to teach anything new. What we're going to do is take what we've been learning and just kind of look at it at slightly different angles, review it again, come together. If you notice, you are the schedule on the left there on the cabinet, so you have a test next Tuesday. So we do have a couple of things we got to get down pat, make sure we've covered completely before that test. And I want to make sure that we're going over the material thoroughly so that you have a really good idea what's going on here. Okay, number one, f of x is equal to negative 3 to the x power. And since the input is 3, what we're going to do is make this f of 3 would be negative 3 to the third power. What is negative 3 to the third power? Go ahead.
Positive 27.
No.
Sorry.
Why? That's right. This is best read, Phoebe. This is best read. Negate 3 cubed. So 3 cubed is 27. Then I have to negate it. So this is negative 27. Yes?
That's what I wrote down,
But then you had a mental spasm?
yeah.
Okay. All right, next. Let's plug in a 2 for the input here. I get 10 squared, plus I also got to put it here, plus 7 times 2. Order of operations, I do exponents first. That's 100 plus 14, which is 114. What's the value of 3 to the 0, everybody? 1. Give me a way to explain why 3 to the 0 is 1. Somebody who has not helped yet. Why does 3 to the 0 equal 1? Francesca's saying, do not call on me, do not call on me, do not call on me, do not call on me. I'm getting out the voodoo doll now. I'm going to stick it in your eye. All right. Who wants to say it? Let's go. Why does 3, White Sox, why does 3 to 0 equal 1?
Because when you subtract the exponents, it equals the 3 over here.
Okay, so that's a really good start. 3 to the 5th over 3 to the 5th. It doesn't matter what exponent you use to start. Makes no difference. If you subtract exponents, like White Sox says, you're going to get 3 to the 0. But what is anything divided by itself? 1. So that's 3 to the 5th over 3 to the 5th is something divided by itself. So therefore, 3 to the 0 equals 1.
That's what I drew.
Good. I asked for help and nobody gave it. Well, you've already helped. So I'm looking for many people's involvement, not just one person's involvement. Okay. Given the functions g of x, f of x, and h of x. Now, the first year that the Regents exam was given on this course, the idiots in Albany, all right, we will refer to them throughout the year as the idiots in Albany because that's what they are. And this is being recorded, and it is being put on my website, so they can feel free to come haunting after me because they are idiots. It is simply that way. They gave us this new curriculum and no sample tests in terms of what the kids would be expected to do on the Regents. So the first year, we went in there almost blind, not completely blind. They did give us a handful of questions, maybe, oh God, somewhere between 10 and 20 questions, give or take. Now, in years past, every time they switched the curriculum, they gave at least 3 sample tests, sometimes as many as 5 or 6. So then the kids could at least look at the tests and say that they had an idea of what was coming. With the Common Core test, that did not happen. Now, I don't know the state passing rate on the Common Core Regents exam. I tried to even look it up just a few minutes ago on my computer for back to school night so I can tell your parents, and I can't find it. All I hear is that they are consistent. Consistently what? So anyway, I heard from the math chair over at Bellport that the passing rate is 59% on the Regents exam and 55% in the Bellport School District. I don't know what our passing rate is. I do know that it's a very tough test. And this is one of the handful of sample questions they gave us. And this, I think, is a challenging question because you have to do so much to earn the 2 points. The first thing you have to understand is the different ways to express a function. Then you need to be able to do the slope formula correctly 3 times in a row. That's a lot for 2 points. Now, if this was like a 5 or 10 point part 2 question, then you would say, okay, you got to do 6 different things. If each step is worth a point, I could see this being a 6 point question. You've got to do 6 different things, and then you have to order them, which really shouldn't be too difficult. So you've got to do 7 things to earn 2 points. That's a lot. Now, g of x is equal to x squared minus 2x. It wants this. It says the correct list of functions ordered from greatest to least. Now that's another stupid thing these people in Albany do. Right? When you order things, how do you usually order them? Least to greatest. So if you read quickly and you're thinking least to greatest because it says to order them, well, of course, they turn around and write what? Greatest to least. So they try to trip you up. They do not want you to get 85 or higher on this test. It's very important to them that you do not get 85 or higher. They want you to suffer through. Okay? The reason is, and you know what? They're going to hate me when I say this, but the powers that created the Common Core, one of them is Bill Gates, and he wants very much to sell software to the schools that teach the kids how to get 85 on the test. Well, considering he's the one that pays for the creation of the tests and the curriculum and everything else, that's what he wants. So do you know that on the, you know how like you can get a curve on the low end that makes a curve higher or score higher? Like you should have gotten a 50, but you get a curve and you get a 75. You ever hear of a curve like that? Do you know that on this test, at the top end, it curves you down? Yep. If you actually get an 88, you get like an 84. If you get an 85, you get an 82. Yeah, they curve it down on this test. Those are the idiots in Albany. They give you less points than you deserve. Yes, that is so help me God, it's true. So this is what we're up against. But you know what? I don't care because we are going to, let's be nice here. We are going to defeat their poor efforts anyway. I wanted to throw a bunch of bad words in there, but I did not. All right, so they want to know from 0 to 3. So now, rate of change is also known as what? Slope. So slope is change in y over change in x. So let's plug in a 0 and a 3 and create coordinate pairs. I love 0. 0 is my favorite. Because what's 0 squared? 0. And what's 3 times 0? Oh, I gotta think about this now. What's 0 minus 0? Oh, I gotta let that soak in for a minute. So if my input is 0, my output is 0. I like that because I can do zeros very quickly in my head. Now let's plug in a 3. If I plug in a 3, what's 3 squared?
9.
9. Minus what's 2 times 3? 6. What's 9 minus 6? 3. Now let's do the slope to these 2 points. Change in y over change in x is 3 minus 0 over 3 minus 0, which is 3 over 3, which is 1. So the slope of the first one is 1. All of that work. And we got to do 2 more. And then we got to put them in order. And we get 2 whole points. 2 points. Yay! And the governor, he's such a philandering, he's such a pandering, not philandering, he's definitely not that. He is such a pandering politician, it's unbelievable. He announced that we need to look into the test because something's not right. And then he put a whole bunch of people who don't know anything about tests into a committee. What an idiot. Oh, should I have said that on a thing that's going to be on my website? I don't care. I would love to have an election against him. I would beat him. I would, because I can think. I'm not robotic. Okay, now, ready? X, f of x. 0, 1, 3, 7. This time at least they gave me the coordinates. So I'm going to do the slope formula again, which is change in y over what? Change in x. So the y is going from 1 to 7. I like to subtract so it's positive. So I'm going to do 7 minus 1, 3 minus 0, which is 6 over 3, which is 2. So my first slope in red is 1, my second slope in blue is 2. Now I go to my third slope in green, and now this is a little difficult. You have to understand the nature of coordinates. It's always x, y. Now x stands for what? X stands for x. Good. It is what it is. Okay, no, what does x stand for? Input or output? Input. What does y stand for? Output. So when I see this coordinate 0, 2 right here, that means when the input is 0, the output is 2. When I go to this one, 3, 9, it means when the input is, everybody, 3, the output is 9. We will have an upcoming quiz, which half of the quiz is a question just like this. So this is a very important question. Now let's do change in y over change in x. 9 minus 2 is 7. 3 minus 0 is 3. I don't really care exactly what it comes out to. What I care is that it's bigger than 2. It's technically 2 1/3. But because it's bigger than 2, what's the biggest one? Red, blue, or green? Green. So the greatest one is h of x. Oh, here, look what else they do to screw you up. Look at these guys in Albany. They are heinous human beings. They really are. Check this out. What should it go? What's the order we would always do if this is first, this is second, and this is third, and the letters are F, G, and H? Don't you think the F's go first? Look what they did. This is what? G of x. This is what? F of x. And then they put H of x at the end, so you're kind of like, oh, okay, H is at the end, so it goes F, G, H. So they are putting at least 2 ways to get this question wrong, by going greatest to least and G, F, H, that have nothing to do with your math ability. Nothing. You could do all the work properly. You could be perfect. But these very, very mean-spirited, very awful people in Albany who want you to do poorly, let's be perfectly clear about that. They don't want you to fail completely, but they do not want you to get 85 or higher. They want you to get a 72. That's what they want. Those same people put every trick in the book, non-mathematical, to get you to get these questions wrong. And we have to overcome the difficulty of math and every trick they're going to throw at us. So they're awful. They're horrible people. They really are. They're horrible educators. They may be loving and kind people. I shouldn't say they're bad people. They may be loving people, but they're awful educators, and they're tools of big interest. Okay, so anyway, the biggest one is h of x. The next biggest one is f of x, and then g of x. So h, f, g, which I assume is choice 4? Yeah. Okay, so choice 4 is the correct answer. So what you should learn from that question is, A, how to do average rate of change. That's the most important thing. But the second thing that you should learn from that question, in addition to how to do average rate of change, is just how dirtbag tricky the people who make this test are. Okay? Any questions about this? All right, let's keep going then. The graphs below represent the functions defined by polynomials. For which function are the zeros 2 and -3? So we talked about quadratic graphs, and we talked about how to show the zeros. Find the graph that has zeros of 2 and -3. Again, we're not teaching anything new today. We're just doing some questions that try to reveal unto us things we can get better at. Hopefully this is a really easy question for you. This was also a sample question, by the way. And this is a much more fair question. Emma, what do you think? You think it's 3? Yeah, I want to be, the zeros are wherever it crosses the x-axis. So if you see, this crosses at -3 and it crosses at +2. That's correct. That's done. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Let's go to the next one. For which function are the polynomial, or the zeros, -4 and -6? Now, there's a couple of different ways to do this. I'm very interested in seeing, because we have not done one like this in class yet, exactly like this. Is there anybody here who thinks they have a really, really quick and easy way to do this? Maya?
Use your calculator.
Yeah, what are you going to do with the calculator?
You're going to graph each one to figure out.
Yeah, graph each one and find out which one goes through both -4 and -6. Later in the year, we'll learn another way to do it that I think is better. But for now, that way will work perfectly. graph each one and see which one crosses at -4 and -6. Is there anybody who thinks they've gotten it? Feed, what do you think? Feed thinks it's 2, it is 2. God bless. If you have not graphed 2 yet, everybody graph 2 right now. Graph choice 2. Okay. Now, does anybody have any difficulty reading the graph? Maybe it's too small? You could go to table, right? You could do second table and look for where you get zeros in the y and see if the x's are -4 and -6. Does that make sense? Okay, Em, you got that graph? Nice. Very good. Okay. Next. Number 7, during a snowstorm. This was again a sample question they gave us. What I would like you to do now is, with the person sitting around you, do this question. Work together with somebody. Go ahead. Yes, it's very like the question on the quiz.
Oh God.
A boom.
What does that happen?
Yes.
Yeah, for the first 3, so up to the third one.
Okay, good. You see how it goes through -4 and -6 on the axis? That means this is the one that has roots.
Oh wait, time is
-6 with 0. That's what
time is
polynomial is just x squared minus 10x plus 24. Poly means many, right? Like polytheism, many gods. And polynomial means plus x squared, x, etc. It's also called a trinomial because there's 2 parts. Okay?
Figure it out, Mary. Did you add any dots?
No.
wait,
Make sure you're titling your graph and you're labeling everything.
Yeah.
See you later. Emma, you're connecting the dots, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Nicely done.
I am right now.
No, I believe you. I just wanted to make sure you didn't forget because you almost forgot before.
Yeah, I almost got it again. I like start going into the next question and I'm like, oh wait.
There's this famous commercial years ago that used to come on at 10 o'clock at night, and it would say, "It's 10 o'clock at night. Do you know where your children are?" It still goes on. So yeah. Okay, so we have to do, Emma. We're near the end of the question. Did you connect your dots?
because it's going up like every 1 hour. It's going by 1 half.
Can I do
The
this?
snowfall only goes up.
Oh, you went on. I don't know. I realized when we weren't supposed to do this.
Talk to each other, guys. Argue with each other. See what you think.
Argue.
Sounds good.
Let's see here. Snowstorm, they said, first 3 hours of the storm, so good. Storm that's starting 2 hours, starting in 1 hour, next 4 hours. No, it's a half an inch in the next 4 hours.
Jeez.
No, 1.5, so 1.5.
I don't want to go to next period.
It's just a half inch.
Want to switch?
You know, another way to think of 1/2 an inch an hour for 4 hours is 1 inch per 2 hours over 4 hours. So you could go up 1 over 2. It would be the same slope as up 1/2 over 1. Right? You're giving me the blank stare. You're giving me the I want to shoot at the target look. Maya, when you go home, you don't like have some